not affiliated.
Country of law and order have to do it. And you will have, very seldom, but you will have the rogue, we call it the rogue cop, the bad apple, and perhaps you'll have that also with president. But there's nothing you can do about that. You're going to have to give the president, you're going to have to allow a president, any president, to have immunity so that that president can act and do what he feels and what his group of advisors feel is the absolute right thing. Otherwise, you're going to have presidents that are totally impotent. And we've had enough of them already. We've had enough of them already. So having immunity is so important. And I hope the Supreme Court has the courage to do that, because otherwise you're just not going to be in a very strong position very long. It'll totally change our country, in my opinion. That's how bad it will go back to being a country of law and order.
See, that's strongman talk, and that's really kind of scary, you know. I don't believe that any president should have complete immunity from the law. No one should be above the law, regardless of what position they have. You know, if you break the law, you should be held accountable. Simple as that, whoever you are. You know, I don't like that talk. That is crazy and scary. Joyanne Reed posted this. This is her caption. She says, "This is an extraordinary and terrifying statement by a person who was president of the United States and wants to be again. Trump is likening the American presidency to a dirty cop, as saying presidents should have the same immunity as police who literally kill people while on duty." I don't know if that's really what he was saying, but she goes on to say, "This is both a sign of his mental derangement and his absolute commitment to becoming an autocrat. The fact that so many elected Republicans are either actively or passively accepting him as their party's standard bearer should make you shudder, as should hearing Tower people cheer for the idea of police executing people in the street and the president adopting the same tactic." Yeah, I don't know if I completely agree with her sentiments, but it's still scary. You know, I feel like they support the Constitution when it benefits them, you know, and other times they want to throw it away. It's like they want to pick parts of it that they like and then disregard other parts that they don't like. It's like how they feel about like majority rule. Like majority rule is fine as long as they are the majority, but if they're not the majority, then they don't like the majority rule deal. It's like the old South, you know, back in the days. You know, they they didn't like majority rule. They didn't like that idea, the old South. That's part of the reason why they ended up wanting to split from the United States, because they weren't okay with, you know, democratically having our things go in a democratic way where majority ruled. You know, they're okay with majority ruling as long as it goes along with what they believe in. But the moment it doesn't, they're against it. It's kind of like in South Africa, you know, when you had like apartheid or whatever, and it's like they definitely wasn't a majority in South Africa, but they wanted things to go the way that they wanted them to go. So that's when they throw out the whole thing with majority rule. Like it doesn't work for them anymore. What up, Doc? Happy to see you join the show, man.
Hey, hey.
Happy that you're here. Yeah, so I just played the clip where um, Trump's quote was, he says, "And you will have the road cop, the bad apple, and perhaps you'll have that also with president. But there's nothing you can do about that. You're going to have to give them the president immunity, and I hope the Supreme Court will have the courage to do that." So basically saying that, you know, the president should have immunity.
Well, they do have immunity to a certain point. I mean, like he says, you know, oh, I can shoot someone in the street and they won't convict me. That's not true. I mean, however, it is necessary in the state of running a country that you may have to make a decision that is not in alignment with certain laws and things like that, or certain um, world standards. And that's what they talk about when they say immunity for a president. It's not for him to just go willy nilly and commit whatever crimes he wants. It's to cover him in the place of a horrible decision where he has to choose between bad and bad.
Right. And I
I
can get
mean,
I
like
can get with that.
invading a foreign nation.
Yeah, I can get with that. That's kind of what I was saying when I was having that same conversation with
Now,
Pat yesterday. Go ahead.
the stuff with this with the big guy and stuff going on. He's not going to be immune to any of that. He's immune to prosecution from it now because you cannot bring charges, legal charges against a sitting president. That does not stop him from facing consequences for his actions after he's no longer president if they were found that they were done for self and not country.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. I was going to say that, if his activities are for the sake of the nation, for the sake of the American people, for the sake of the country is one thing. But if his actions are for his own personal gain, then that's totally different ball game. Yeah.
And yet, personally, I think that there are several, both present and former presidents, that need to have some prosecution done for them using the resources of the federal government in personal campaigns against private citizens or people who have become private citizens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder how Trump would feel about Biden having, total immunity, given that Biden is the president presently. I wonder if Trump would support that. And the other part of this is that it sounds like it's the strong man talk, right? Do you hear that in this? You know what I mean? The strong man, like dictatorial type of talk. Do you hear that in this? Because he's like, we need law and order, so you need a strong man to come and make sure that we have law and order.
It's that New York braggadocio. We got the same problem with a lot of our guys here in Texas. I'm the man. I'm going to do this, and you're not going to be able to stop me. I am the man. I am the law.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's a dangerous road to go down. It's okay to be like that when you're like smaller, whatever, but when you're in a position of one of the
No,
most
it's not all like
powerful
it's not at
offices.
all. It's not at all right to be like that when you're speaking from a position of power.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you're in a like one of the most powerful offices in the world.
I don't care if that's the teacher in front of a classroom or the leader of a Boy Scout troop. Much less a politician who we trust not to use the power that we loan them. Mind you, remember that quote. We loan them the power. We don't give them the power.
Mm-hmm.
We loan it with our vote, saying we trust you to not be a dick.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why, as much as I thought he did a decent job the first time, despite all the hubbub, that 45 he's poisoned now. I mean, he's already said, well, you've done this to me, so you've changed the rules and I can do what I want. No. At some point, someone has to stand up and go, it's time to be the bigger man. It's time to not be the dickhead that uses the power of my office to go after people and take people down. That's why I don't want DeSantis in charge either. He's going to immediately use that office to fulfill personal goals, despite legality, despite, you know, doing what's good for the people. He's going to do his people. Which is one of the reasons why